Hey everybody, it's been a couple weeks since I put something out, so gonna do something kind of random here. Just three personal, non-metal classic albums that I've recently tracked down on CD. So the big one here is gonna be The Flower Lane by DuckTales. DuckTales are, we'll call them indie rock band from the New Jersey area, and it started off as the solo project of Matt from Real Estate, and he's no longer in Real Estate. He does DuckTales full time now. And this to me is not only their best album, but the beginning of a 4 album streak. It's The Flower Lane, St. Catherine, Jersey Devil, and Watercolors. I think those 4 albums are pretty much perfect. The couple that came before and came after them, they're all okay, but those 4, all classic to me. And what we have here is laid back, very pop influenced rock music. And if I had to pick just a couple songs on here, because I like every single one, I'm going to go with the title track, The Flower Lane, one of my favorite songs ever. Assistant Director, does that song ever bring me back to well over a decade ago, before I was married, when the wife and I just would spend a lot of evenings in the city, and just reminded me of those drives home. Also gotta give shouts out to Undercover, Sedan Magic, The Closer, Academy Avenue. Again, I like this whole thing, but I guess the weakest tracks are Timothy Shy and Planet From. Very relaxing, emotional, and in hindsight, this really should have been in my top 50 albums of all time, videos I did. I saw them live one time back in 2015, touring for St. Catherine, and I really enjoyed myself, but I don't think they've been back since. And I also thought that would be a big crowd for some reason, but that was at the Garrison, which is a small place to begin with, and like I want to say there was like 50 people there, but a great show nonetheless. Next up, kind of reminds me of the last album, just for personal reasons, but we have Omni, which is the 4th album by the Seattle rock band Minus the Bear. Minus the Bear would put out 6 full-length albums before breaking up in 2018, and this is the 4th full-length album, and definitely their most commercial and pop-oriented album for sure. I don't think the fans hate this album, but it's also definitely not a fan favorite. But it's always been my personal favorite. My 3 favorite tracks are My Time, Summer Angel, and Excuses, probably the most accessible songs on here. I almost cringe to say this, but those songs kind of remind me of something that like Maroon 5 would do if they had a good singer and were actually a cool band. I also really like Hold Me Down, Into the Mirror, and the long, dreamy closer, Fooled by the Night. And yeah, these 2 albums definitely remind me of each other in terms of them being what I call Sunday evening, beautiful evening, driving home music. Just very relaxing and feels very introspective. And I don't want to say they're introspective because the lyrics from either one of these bands is nothing to take too seriously, but it just feels very whimsical and special to me, and glad I finally own physical copies. And finally, we're going to talk about something a little different now. This is Peace of Mind by the Memphis rapper Tila. This was his debut album from 1996 on Suave House Records, one of my favorite older hip hop labels. And right from the beginning, the intro takes you right to Memphis. That slow, funky beat, the country fried guitars. You can almost feel the heat and smell the smoke. The first real track, Twisted, one of my favorite rap songs ever. I just love the way Tila flows over one of the hardest beats I've ever heard. One of the best choruses I've heard in hip hop. Tired of Ballin' comes up next. Another Southern classic. You got Number 4, I don't like that song as much, Strange, but that has Crime Boss and Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike, definitely a underrated rapper from the 90s for sure. Let It Rain, Show Enough with 8Ball and MJG. You know what? The only complaints I have here are a couple pointless interludes and a couple of weaker tracks towards the end of the album. But they do end it off in style with the title track, Peace of Mind. So, yeah, Peace of Mind is far and away Tila's best album. He would leave Suave House and go on to put out 3 albums on Rap-A-Lot. The only one I have is this one, his 3rd album, The World Ain't Enough. I think it's pretty good. And then he put out 1 independent album in 2010. And to be honest, that's the last I heard from Tila, but would keep my ear open for another album. So, that's it for me. See you next time.